So who decides a Democratic nominee in a Democratic convention?
The public, obviously.
Let's talk about it, y'all. Middle America. Well, you would think, dear listener, that would be the case, considering for the last 3 years we have been told by the Democratic Party that Mr. Trump needed to be impeached because the Russian interference was striking at the very fabric and heart of our democracy. And we saw lawmakers in tears crowing about how we're about to lose our democracy because of Russian interference and Trump's call to Zelensky. This is what we were told. Well, sometimes, you know, you can lie and lie and lie, but sometimes when you're stuck in an echo chamber, you end up saying really crazy stuff and don't even have the awareness that what you're saying is insane. Here's Anton Gunn. This is actually late, but I think it's appropriate for what's about to happen, considering we just reported on Amy Klobuchar's suspension of her campaign. You haven't seen this video yet, but here we are. Here is Anton Gunn, and he says the following.
This is what people need to remember. The Democratic Party has a party. The party decides its nominee. The public doesn't really decide the nominee. The public gets to vote for President of the United States, but people who are active in the party, who participate in the party, they decide the nominee.
Oh, wow.
He's talking about the superdelegates.
Yeah.
He's saying the public, the unwashed masses, they don't decide the nominee. We decide the nominee.
Wow.
We tell you who the nominee is, and then you get to vote on who you want to be the nominee. Now, obviously, if you're a Democrat, this is a form of political blackmail.
Yeah.
Because what they're saying is either you vote for who we tell you to vote for, or you're going to have Donald Trump. These are the choices that you have. Which is literally what they did in 2016.
Didn't go well for them.
This is literally what they did in 2016. They said, yeah, you guys want Bernie Sanders, but we want Hillary. And so what are you going to do? You're going to vote for Bernie? And people said, yeah. We were at the gym. And the guy was talking about how he voted for Obama. Mm-hmm. But when it was between Clinton and Trump, he voted for Trump. Mm-hmm. And there are so many people who voted for Obama who then flipped and voted for Trump. And for 4 years, the DNC and their acolytes, like Mr. Gunn, a soulless individual in a suit, for 4 years, they refused to do any sort of self-reflection. First, it was James Comey. I don't know if you guys remember this. James Comey was the bad guy because he released that whole thing about Hillary a week before the election. There was a big conspiracy. He was the bad guy. Then it turns out that James Comey hates Trump and was not loyal to Trump, so
what do we do with this?
So then it was the Russians, and then we saw the Mueller meltdown, and then it was the call to Zelensky, which basically, I guess, Joe Biden, did you know that if you are running for president, you can be as corrupt as hell and nobody can investigate you because you should be completely immune to any sort of investigation because you're running for president? So they tried the Zelensky call, that didn't work. So they wasted 4 years because a lot of this was just plain delusion. They were saying to themselves, there's no way we could have lost fair and square. Mm-hmm. And they didn't listen to the people. This is a reason. I've been saying this since 6 months after the election when I was looking at the Democrats Party's response to the loss. Mm-hmm. I said, he's going to win again.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's because of stuff like this.
Yep.
Now, these people are so entrenched in their echo chamber, they don't understand how this falls on the ears of regular people. You know what's interesting? I tried to find this clip on YouTube. Couldn't find it. Couldn't find it at all. I had to lift it from TYT. You see the little TYT thing there? For some reason, it's not there.
Oh, boy.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting stuff. But, I mean, listen to what this guy's saying. We tell you who to vote for.
That's crazy.
Not the regular unwashed masses. This is the irony of this whole thing. For years, these people have been telling us that they went after Trump because they were trying to protect our democracy. Mm-hmm. And I stood my ground, and not just me, a whole bunch of people were able to see through the nonsense of what the DNC was doing. Jimmy Dore, all these people. It wasn't just me. And dear listener, I endured the slings and arrows of the simplistic folks who were saying that I was a pro-Trumper because I was criticizing this impeachment nonsense. You know why? Every single time I would talk about impeachment, I would say, do you think that what the Russians were doing or that silly Zelensky call had more of an effect on our democracy than what the DNC did in 2016 with Hillary and Bernie? And they quickly overlooked it. They avoided it. They ignored it so that they could focus on Trump. They fell hook, line, and sinker for the DNC
I just
yard.
don't understand. Like, if you were part of the Democratic Party, why wouldn't you want to take some accountability for what's been happening inside of your party? Otherwise, if you don't, then you're at the mercy of every Russian conspiracy or every whatever comes up next. Like, take some accountability for your actions and for the actions of your party, so that way you can get yourself back in the White House.
They're so delusional and they're so disconnected from regular, everyday, ordinary people that I do not believe that they even thought for a second that they were responsible for the failure of their party in 2016. They literally, from Hillary's book, What Happened, to the Russia investigation, to Adam Schiff and all the rest of it, these people cannot take accountability because the only people they listen to is each other, and so they do not understand why they lost. Mm-hmm. It is obvious to me that these people have no clue why they lost. If they did, they would never say something like this publicly on a major outlet like MSNBC. This is explicit. Here, New York Times just released something really damaging. Democratic leaders willing to risk party damage to stop Bernie Sanders.
Unbelievable.
Interviews with dozens of Democratic Party officials, including 93 superdelegates, found overwhelming opposition to handing Mr. Sanders a nomination if he fell short of the majority delegates. So if he doesn't come with a convincing victory, he's not going to get the nomination. These people came out and said it.
I can't believe they feel so confident to say something like that.
Look what he said. We're way past the day where party leaders can determine an outcome here, but I think there's a vibrant conversation about whether there's anything that can be done. You talk about whether something can be done about Bernie.
Wow.
This is unbelievable. This is insane. In a reflection of the establishment's wariness about Mr. Sanders, only 9 of the 93 superdelegates interviewed said that Mr. Sanders should become the nominee purely on the basis of arriving at the convention with a plurality if he was short of a majority. Meaning that if he shows up and wins the popular vote, only 9 of the 93 said we should give him the nomination.
Oh, wow.
The other 84 said no. Here's Walter Mondale. I've had 60 years experience with Democratic delegates. I don't think they will do anything like that, said former Vice President Walter Mondale, who is a superdelegate. They will each do what they want to do, and somehow they will work it out. God knows how. I vote for the person that I think should be president. I'm going to vote for who I think should be president. That's them.
That's messed up.
Unbelievable. The irony of this whole thing is the Republican Party does not have superdelegates in this way. Here's what happens on the Republican side, okay? Superdelegates are not involved. This is Wikipedia in the Republican Party nomination process. There are delegates to the Republican National Convention who are seated automatically, but they are limited to 3 per state, consisting of the state chairman and 2 district-level committee members. Republican Party superdelegates are obliged to vote for their state's popular vote winner under the rules of the party branch to which they belong. So basically, you have to vote for the popular vote if you're a superdelegate on the Republican side. You do not have to do that on the Democratic side. If they did,
so crazy.
That's what's happening. So look right now.
Crazy.
As of today, the count was as of the penning of this article, which was a couple days ago. This was before the Pete and the Klobuchar resignations. Here was the count. It was 60 for Bernie, 54 for Biden, 26 for Mayor Pete, 8 for Warren, and 7 for Klobuchar. We can assume the 26 and the 7 are going to go to Biden, and then she's going to hold the 8, which would have gone to Bernie.
That's so wrong.
So she's going to hold that until the end of the convention so that you can have a brokered convention where Biden ends up with basically the accumulated delegates of these two, but the popular vote would obviously be Bernie, and they're going to let it go to the super delegates, and the super delegates are going to go vote for Biden because it's clear that the establishment is throwing everything they have behind Biden now. Those are the facts. After Super Tuesday, we can look for an Obama endorsement of Biden, and that'll be it. No more Bernie. No more Medicare for all. This is what we have. So
that's not right.
It's amazing to me that for the last 3 or 4 years, we were told that the Democratic Party is the last bastion that we have for democracy. This was once again an act of the DNC projecting their hatred of democracy, their hatred of the common man onto the Republican Party. I am sorry, but the Republican powers that be did not want Mr. Trump in office. But you know what happened? They bowed to the will of the people. That's how democratic republics are supposed to work.
Yeah.
And it is the Democratic Party who does not care about the will of the people. And I've been saying this over and over again.
Yeah.
When the whole Russia investigation happened and it was clear that it was actually Hillary that was working with Russians to get Oppo research on her political rival, you look the other way.
Right.
Oh, that we don't care. Outside of my purview. Okay. And then now what's happening is the Ukrainians actually opened up an investigation on the lawyer as to why the lawyer got fired who was investigating Biden's son.
Oh.
Yeah. But the whole time we were told, oh, Trump is trying to destroy our democracy. Really? Really? This isn't destructive to our democracy? Look, man, if you fell for the Russia stuff and the Ukraine stuff, I'm not mad at you. But I hope now that we're starting to pay attention. These people do not want democracy. They want their oligarchy. That's what they want. They don't care what you have to say. They don't care who you want in office. They don't care that you are worried about 28 million Americans uninsured, and they don't care about finding a way to make sure all those people are there. What they care about is propping up who they want in power, and they know that there's no way in the world that Joe Biden is going to beat Donald Trump. They know that. The man, no disrespect to the big homie, but 2 weeks ago everybody was burying this dude.
Yep.
And how in the world this man has 54 pledged delegates anyway?
Yeah, I know. I find that suspicious.
It is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
It's absolutely mind-boggling to me that he has that. And it's insane. But the fix is in. But look, when you had people, when I said I don't care about the Zelensky call, people were saying you're a Trump shill, blah 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 blah. No, it's because I knew what these people were about. I knew it was all BS. I knew it was a power play, and I knew that and what did I say? What I said was they're never going to let Bernie have it because Bernie is the only viable candidate that can do anything to Trump, and they know that. And so all of this Russiagate nonsense and all the Zelensky call nonsense, all of it was they wanted to get Trump out of the way so that they could pit Biden against Pence, because if it was Biden versus Pence, they would win. That's what I've been saying since day one. Everybody was saying, well, Pence is more of an evangelical monster than Trump. Why would you want that? They didn't care about the next 4 years. What they cared about was the next election. And that's what they were going for. That's why they were willing to have Trump have his popularity skyrocket and his donations skyrocket, because all they cared about was a Hail Mary pass to get rid of Trump so that they could put Biden against Pence, because they knew it was going to be an establishment Dem who was going to be running for office. It's obviously clear. These people are coming out and tell you, we don't give a damn what you say. Man, these people, and this is a New York Times saying this, they're willing to risk party damage. Do you know what's going to happen? You saw the Project Veritas video. These people were talking about rioting in Milwaukee if Bernie didn't get the nod. These people are talking. I mean, people are talking about barricading their windows.
Frustrating.
Oh,
when you can see that you have a candidate that's very, Bernie is very well liked, and you could see, but you can obviously see the manipulation on the part of the party and what they're doing, and that's just so frustrating, especially to people like you said. He he has a certain type of personality that draws people.
Right.
So obviously the people they're very loyal to him. And so they're going to be very upset when they see them yet again doing this to Bernie. It's just crazy.
I think it was Kyle Kalinske or something that basically called Bernie America's dad or whatever. I mean, just this sort of embarrassing admiration of a guy. Like,
What do you mean?
yeah, it's just embarrassing to say that a politician's like your dad. Like that's something that normally Americans don't do because of the paternalistic nature of that language, and combining that with the government is like the epitome of anti-American.
Oh.
The government is not your parent.
Oh, yeah.
That's why, Republicans talk about that nanny state and things of that nature.
I didn't think of it that way.
But Bernie is so beloved that he transcends all that stuff. And you see these ads for Bernie, and you see these commentators on YouTube crying, Kyle Kalinske crying because it's so emotional. Like the man. But here's something that's going to be very unpopular. I got to say it. This is partially Bernie's fault. And it is also partially the fault of every Democrat who went along with the Russiagate nonsense and the Ukrainegate nonsense. It's a fact. Because Bernie went and endorsed Hillary Clinton when he shouldn't have.
Yep, I agree.
That's honestly when a lot of people say, okay, I'm out.
Yep.
Now, I went through a little period where I said, okay, you endorsed Hillary, I'm out. I'm out. You sold out to the establishment. And then I
didn't understand why he did that, because I feel like he doesn't go along with that kind of stupidity, but...
Right. And then he went along with the Russiagate nonsense. And then he went and he had the access to the same amount of facts that we did. He knew that Hillary worked with Fusion GPS and the Russians, met with Russian assets on American soil to go after Donald Trump. He knew that. He was privy to all that information. He said nothing about it. Joe Biden, he finally called out Biden for his corruption, and then the next day, what does he do? He apologized for it and walked it back in the context of the Zelensky call. He went along with the impeachment nonsense, and he knew it was nonsense. He went along with the Russia conspiracy nonsense, and then what happened? The same apparatus that went after Trump with the Russian nonsense went after him.
Yep.
It's the same group of people. So that's when Mike Bloomberg was like, oh, the Russians love Trump and they love you. And then Bernie was like, come on, Mike. As if to say it's ridiculous. How? You played the game, Bernie.
Yeah.
You went along with the establishment and their BS. If Bernie would have held the line and said, this is ridiculous, this is dumb, this is going to boost Trump, we did not lose because of this. We lost because Hillary and the rest of y'all did not listen to the will of the people.
Yep.
Let's not make that mistake again. If he would have showed some integrity, then things might have been a little bit different. But Bernie, you went along with it, bro. You went along with it. You allowed the DNC to pull the wool over the eyes of the people who would vote for you that are on the left side of the aisle. You allowed the DNC to say, hey, pay no attention to the delegate stealing woman over there behind the curtain. Look over here. Let's demonize this group of people. Let's demonize the Russians. And you had people looking at Russia and Ukraine for 4 years, Bernie. Instead of holding the Democratic Party accountable, you went along with it. Well, now they've turned on you. The same apparatus that you were operating within, they turned on you. And the same thing for the voters. You allowed the Democratic Party for 4 years to not hold themselves accountable. You went for ridiculous conspiracy theories that meant nothing. And now here we are. These people are doing it to the guy that we like. And I'm not saying this to pile on people. I'm saying this because we cannot make the same mistake again. We did not hold the DNC accountable. We fell for the shell game. We fell, like with a little kid, you go, hey, what's over there?
Yeah.
And you fell for it for 4 years. And then anybody that spoke out against it, you said was a Trump supporter.
And therefore a racist.
Correct. Oh, Vin's a closet Trump supporter. Tim Pool's a Trump supporter. Jimmy Dore, we're all Trump supporters. No. At some point, we got to hold ourselves accountable. The reason these people can come on TV like this and say this stuff is because we went along with their BS for 4 years. Those are the facts.
That's crazy.
It's true. And there were voices that were saying this is ridiculous, this is nonsense. I mean, Jimmy Dore paid a heavy price. I mean, that was the end of him and TYT.
Yep.
That was the straw that broke the camel's back with TYT, was because he didn't want to go along with the Russiagate nonsense. He knew it was nonsense. And Jimmy Dore is almost prophetic. He knew
good for him,
the implications of what would happen if he went along with it. And if all of us went along with it. He knew what was going to happen. The DNC successfully, you got to give it to them, they successfully got everybody's eye off the ball. Guys, in 2016, Hillary Clinton had taken over the DNC. She took it over. She laundered money into her own campaign. DNC Central was in Brooklyn, which was Hillary's office. They stole the entire thing, hook, line, and sinker, from the will of the people, and we let them get away with that because we immediately jumped on this Trump bandwagon. The point of this election is not to defeat Donald Trump. The point of this election is to ensure 28 million Americans and get us the hell out of all these wars all over the world. That is our priority. But the DNC has successfully gotten everybody distracted and said, let's beat Trump. And that's the reason they've made Trump the campaign.
That's what I said. I said they've lost their identity. All they are is, no, let's not go for Trump.
And unfortunately,
we got to beat Trump.
Yeah.
What are you about?
Yeah.
We get that. Every Democrat that goes up against a Republican is trying to beat the Republican.
Correct.
So we already know you're trying to beat Trump.
Correct.
Why is that your talking point all the time?
Correct.
Leave Trump out of it. Tell us what you have, what you're offering. I don't understand.
Even Bernie fell for it. He fell in line with it, talking about Trump is the most dangerous. Stop it. Trump was more dangerous than Bush, who got us into the Iraq War? Really? Trump, the guy who's getting us out of Afghanistan, he's more dangerous than Bush? This is the most dangerous. This is the most dangerous president we've ever had. And so what the DNC did, they successfully made the whole thing about Trump. Because here's the thing: if Trump is the biggest problem in America, then you're going to vote for whoever they put in there, regardless of who it is, because the job is to get rid of Trump.
But you know what's crazy is they're trying to make Trump out to look like he's going to be this person that's going to take over, and he's like all about like he's the guy, he's the number one, and he's going to take over the whole country. They'll talk about him like his regime and different stuff like that kind of makes him look like that. But then when you look at the way that the Democratic Party is being run, that's what they're doing.
That's correct.
You're not listening to the people.
More projection. It's more, and you know, back in the day, it used to be a conspiracy theory, like your vote doesn't matter. It's all these people in smoky back offices. This guy went on MSNBC. It does not matter. It's not up to the public.
How do you feel?
It's not up to the public, you unwashed masses. It's up to us.
I have a problem
and
with that.
There were 327 million people in the United States. 93 superdelegates. Let's say half of them are Democrats. 93 superdelegates get to dictate what half the country can vote for.
And are all those people more or less rich?
What do you mean? These guys are all the 1% of the 1%.
That's what I'm saying. So of course they don't want Bernie in there.
Of course not, because he's talking about raising their taxes exponentially.
And they don't have to worry about what the regular people like us have to worry about with medical stuff.
Don't you people understand? Don't you people understand that these 93 superdelegates, they're going to win either way, whether it's Biden or Trump? Who benefited from Trump's $1.93 trillion tax cut more? The 93 or the regular person in the DNC? Who's going to benefit from Biden? But see, this is again, if you make Trump the problem, then whoever is going to beat Trump is going to be the solution. That's why they can put Michael Bloomberg up there. Change the entire rules for the billionaire. That's why they can do that. Because they've successfully made Trump the number one issue. People talking about keep your eye on the ball. What's the ball? Get rid of Trump. No, the ball for me is to insure uninsured Americans. The ball for me is to never have another Alex Smith who dies because he ages out of his mother's insurance. The ball for me is getting people who've been in Afghanistan and Iraq and Niger and all over the world, get them back home so that they can tuck their 5-year-old in at night. That's my goal. What is your goal? Here we go. Mr. Anton Gunn just told us. You silly, unwashed masses, you don't determine who it is. Unbelievable. I don't know what else it's going to take for us to wake up. Some of you are mad at me. Right now, you're mad at me because I'm saying that we should hold ourselves personally accountable. Listen, if we don't hold ourselves accountable, who will? These people have no accountability to anybody but themselves. It's obvious. They don't care about what we think. They don't even have the decency to say this stuff behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. This is how little respect and how great the resentment is for us. They can't even say this stuff behind closed doors. So look, we've got to hold ourselves accountable. We went along with the Russiagate nonsense. We went along with the Zelensky nonsense. We ignored the fact that Hillary did the exact same thing. Anytime it got pointed out, people were saying, what aboutism? Nope, not what aboutism. It's about consistency. If they were willing to do that, then they're going to screw us too, and now we see it. And I think it's too late for Bernie. I really do. I think it's too late, and I think he's partially to blame. He went along with all of this nonsense. And,
right.
and he went along with an establishment that had, they resented Bernie most of all because Bernie is the incarnation of the will of the regular American person. Mm-hmm. And they resented him for it. And Trump is the incarnation of another group of regular American people. And the Republicans resented him for it. But you know what the Republicans did? They said, well, if that's what the people want, that's what we got to go with. The Republicans are more democratic than the Democratic Party. And you know what? They won. And instead of looking at it and saying, at minimum, even if you don't believe in the principle of one man, one vote, one woman, one vote, even if you don't believe in the principle, they won. Mm-hmm. So copy a winning strategy. Go with the populist. Nope. Because the Democratic Party is not about winning this election. The Democratic Party is about staying in power. They'd rather lose with Biden than win with Bernie, and it is our fault, and it is Bernie's fault. These people have never made any pretensions otherwise. Man, Biden versus Trump. I'll tell you what, I will be more surprised if Biden beats Trump than I was when Trump beat Hillary.
Oh, absolutely.
Because when you looked at Trump's rallies, I mean, it was thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And I could not find a single Homo sapien in 2016 that either A, said they were going to vote for Hillary, or B, was excited about the prospect. Mm-hmm. But we started finding Trumpers all over the place. You people in our church, we were like, what? No. Mm-hmm. Remember we laughed at these people like, oh, it's a good joke. People were dead serious. Mm-hmm. I haven't found a single human being that is excited about voting for Joe Biden. Have you? We've seen some of his rallies with like 48 people in it. I promise you, I've drawn bigger crowds by myself without millions of dollars of media. I have. I'm just telling you the God's honest truth. Mm-hmm. This is an absolute disaster, but here we go. And we have to. It's
really terrible.
At this point, you got to look to 2024. We're going to lose thousands and thousands of Americans unnecessarily. But, inshallah, maybe we can bring the troops back. So kudos, I tip my hat to Trump for that. But I think Bernie's done after this as well. I mean, the guy is in his 80s.
I know.
And he's probably going to go and throw his weight behind Biden when they take the nomination from him again. He's going to do it.
I hope he doesn't.
He's already committed to vote. He's already said, I'm going to vote for whoever the nominee is, and we're going to put our support behind whoever the nominee is. And I'll tell you what, it's not going to work this time around because the Bernie bros and all the rest of it, they're going to be extremely disappointed in him. And the fact of the matter is, he was not held accountable. He went along with the Russiagate stuff. He went along with the impeachment stuff. He was never held accountable. The one person that deviated from the narrative was Tulsi Gabbard. Mm-hmm. She just voted present. She's like, I'm not taking part in this nonsense. Unbelievable. Here we are. This is a DNC. See, that's the thing, is that Tulsi was the only one that stood up really and explicitly called out the DNC for the BS when Hillary went after her.
Yep.
And she went on Fox News and all the rest of it. But this is where we're at. And Democrats, I'm talking about the voters now. We're not going to talk about the DNC because the DNC is beyond self-reflection. We know that. But if you're a Democratic voter and you went along with the nonsense in the last 4 years, you got to hold yourself accountable. How come you ignored the Fusion GPS stuff? How come
Right.
you ignored the fact that Hillary had taken over the party? I mean, I posted link after link. So did Tim Pool. So did Jimmy Dore. Why did you ignore all that?
But the question is, are you going to still ignore it now? Or are you going to start
I think,
recognizing it?
I think after 2020, we, the common people, are going to have to do some soul searching and find ways to hold these people accountable. And I hope we don't fall for the Trump orange man bad boogeyman stuff, because here we are now, guys. I mean, good night. Buckle your seatbelts. We all know what's going to happen now, right? Love your neighbor.
Take care of each other.
Middle America.
We are the media.
Till next time, guys.